Are you in a league where all the good waiver wire pickups are gone before you can even find them? Or maybe you need more help at pitching beyond just the streamer. Here's some big name players that you could probably buy low if you make the right offer right now. If we want to get low, can't get much lower than the Marlins these days. Right now, the outlier in their season is that one win that they're still hanging on to. Now, sometimes the best value comes from these bottom-feeding teams because, of course, nobody wants the players on the bad teams. You know about the players on the good teams, and usually most of the players on the bad teams are underperforming, which leads me to Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo pretty much became the ace of this staff by default. Everyone else was either injured or just not good enough. And he was good enough on opening day, even though they didn't win. But after 3 starts now, you're looking at a 7.20 ERA and a 1.53 whip, of course with no wins. Is he just part of the problem too? Well, you look beyond last start. His first 2 outings were actually pretty good, and his numbers were fine. Just this last game, not so much. Against the Yankees, inflated everything, especially those ratios. And his strikeout numbers are still okay, 17 Ks in 15 innings. Gotta wonder here if this was just a bad outing like pitchers will tend to have. This is just a mental thing, a case of pretty much this whole team giving up and throwing in the towel. Now that could be cause for concern long-term for a young pitcher like Luzardo, but here's the thing that really intrigues me is whether he or the team turns it around anytime soon may not matter because if the Marlins are really going full tank as it seems, well, Luzardo could be one of those pieces that gets dealt before the deadline because it seems pretty sure that the Marlins will be sellers and Luzardo is going to be highly sought after by contenders. One of those contenders could and maybe should be the Atlanta Braves with Spencer Strider being hurt and very uncertain for the rest of this year. And there are also plenty of other contenders who could use another arm, maybe the Orioles. No matter where he goes, it will be an upgrade. Luzardo, when healthy, is a very good pitcher, can get strikeouts. He had a good year in 2023. So the rough start by him and his team, I think, can be overlooked, and you can buy him on the cheap right now. On the other end of the spectrum, another left-handed pitcher who should be rock solid in fantasy and has completely blown up your ratios is Max Fried. He is on one of the best teams in the majors, but he has not performed like we expect Max Fried or really any pitcher in the major leagues to do. His first start of the season gave up 7 earned runs and 10 hits against the Arizona Diamondbacks in just 4 1/3 inning. He followed that up by not even getting out of the first inning against the Phillies, only recorded 2 outs, but gave up 3 runs. So what is going on with Fried? This is the last thing Braves fans need after Strider getting hurt. Well, I have no answer for you, and really he doesn't either, which is good. There is no injury, or at least no concern we have right now, and there's no velocity dip, averaging 94 in the fastball, exactly like last year. This is just a case of somebody getting blown up early. It's really hard to explain or fathom how he's been so bad twice in a row, but he knows it. He said he's got to get his stuff together because the Braves need him more than ever. He's a good pitcher, not ace level, but he's like that second tier, somebody you feel like should be at your number 2 slot in your rotation in fantasy. He's got to be more than that, and I think he will be. Look, if there's nothing to this, then we're going to assume he turns it around. He can't get worse, and this is the time to go out and try to see if you can get a buy low offer for him. If you love watching baseball and playing fantasy baseball, you probably love playing MLB The Show on PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch. Well, the best place to get those stubs without paying full price is MMOAH.com. On top of their already discounted price, you get an extra 5% off by using code NGAME. You can build your perfect Diamond Dynasty even faster by clicking the link in the description below and using our promo code. Now, you'd think the leadoff hitter for the Yankees would be pretty valuable these days, and he should be, but Gleyber Torres has just not gotten it done yet this year. His average is barely staying above 200. Another quiet game on Tuesday night against the Marlins, and so he's just not really delivering in any situation. He's yet to homer, only has 2 RBIs, and even despite being in the top of that potent lineup, only scored 5 runs because he's not getting on base. But again, this is that small sample size, that start that just isn't what we want. It just so happens it's April, and people will tend to overreact, at least some people. Look, Gleyber Torres has been really consistent the last couple of years, probably surprisingly so because he didn't start out his career that way. But 2 years ago, 24 home runs, 10 steals. Last year, 25 home runs, 13 steals. He should be good to get you double digits. He does have 2 steals already, which is promising. The power will come around, and the encouraging thing is his plate discipline so far has been solid. He's not just completely swinging and missing at every pitch. Just the batted ball luck hasn't turned his way yet. It's not late enough to the season, and he hasn't been bad enough to feel like you can get him at a complete bargain bin basement type of discount. But, sell off a guy who's off to a hot start, some of the players I mentioned in my sell high video that you want to catch, and you could get Torres probably at a good price because he's not somebody who was drafted really high in fantasy. Now, you might be able to get Nick Castellanos pretty cheap right now because I don't think there's a slugger who's really done worse than he has in the first 2 weeks. Batting average below 150, not a single home run to his name yet. Can't blame the team here. They're doing fine. The offense has been clicking for the most part. Castellanos is just not seeing the ball well enough yet. Although, again, like with Torres, his plate discipline isn't really the problem. I mean, for a slugger, sure, he'll strike out a decent amount, but at 24%, that's right around league average, and he's walking actually quite a bit. Castellanos is a player who traditionally is a little bit more volatile. He'll have these swings. So you kind of have to just sit out these slow stretches and then wait for him to heat up. And when he does, you'll be glad that you have him. Remember, he is a career 275 hitter, had plenty of power last season. He's in a good spot to hit. So just got to be a little patient here or take advantage of a league mate who is not so patient. And then while not quite as bad as Castellanos, Christian Encarnacion Strand in Cincinnati, the first baseman there, everyday first baseman this year, he's pretty close in terms of putrid performance. 150 average, right around there these days. Only 1 home run on the season. He hasn't taken a single walk yet. 13 Ks and no walks. All right, I get it. You're a power hitter, but still, come on. Gotta wonder with all the injuries there in Cincy, is he pressing too much, trying to do too much? Again, young players sometimes we see that, especially when you're expected to hit home runs, they just try too hard, right? Too much swing and miss. Is he chasing too much? I mean, the real question is not whether this is happening, because clearly it's happening, is will it turn around, and if so, how soon? I'm just going to say this is where I stick to my preseason prognostication about a guy like CES. He is definitely somebody who has 30 home run upside. I'm not moving off of that just because bad 2 weeks. And for what it's worth, he did pick up 2 base hits and score 2 runs on Tuesday night, so got that average up to 167. Now, since Encarnacion Strand did serve more as kind of a late draft pick, a sleeper, possible breakout candidate, I think some fantasy owners will be quicker to get rid of him if he isn't cutting it. And you know what? Another week hitting like this, it might happen. He might even get dropped in some leagues. Before that happens and you have to battle over waiver wire priority or decide how much fab to spend, see if you can throw out an offer, try to get him on the cheap. And look, I get it. You'd rather have Spencer Steer than Christian Encarnacion Strand. You don't want to take on a player who could continue to struggle in your lineup. That is the risk you're going to take. Yeah, it's possible he does continue to struggle, but again, this is buying low, hoping that you're going to get the best out of him later on. So only throw out a trade offer if you're giving up a player you're comfortable giving up, and it's not somebody who's going to be more valuable than the guy you're getting back. I'm going to be here all season long to give you trade advice, waiver wire advice, and more. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do that now. We'd greatly appreciate it. And check out the latest video for week 2 advice.